It's Amy, your Gray Girlfriend, and welcome to the Gray Girlfriend's Guide to Life podcast. First, let me say that I'm so happy and grateful that you're here with me. Out of the more than 3 million podcasts available, you chose this one, so thank you. This podcast was created for high-achieving women, real women who face and conquer real challenges, real women who are ready to take their lives to the next level. Between us all, we've been through it all, and I'm here to tell you, you can thrive despite it. So whether you're commuting to or from work or doing one of the other 50,000 things you do on a weekly basis, pop in your earbuds, my friend, and let's go. Welcome to the Gray Girlfriend's Guide to Life podcast. This is your host, Amy Blair Lawson. Today's episode is entitled, Oh, Please. There's a particular kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from doing too much, but from being too much for everyone else. It's the exhaustion of anticipating needs before they're spoken, of softening your tone so no one feels uncomfortable, of saying yes when your body is screaming no, of replaying conversations later, searching for any moment you might have disappointed someone. On the surface, it can look like generosity or thoughtfulness or emotional intelligence, and often it is. But underneath it, there can be something far more tender and far less visible. And that is a quiet, persistent sense of unworthiness. Not the loud kind that announces itself as self-doubt, but the subtle kind that shapes how you show up in every room. Because when you don't feel inherently worthy, you learn to earn your place. And people-pleasing becomes a strategy. Not consciously, of course. It's rarely a decision. It's an adaptation. A way of ensuring connection, a way of avoiding rejection, a way of staying safe. You become highly attuned to others, what they need, how they feel, what might make them stay, what might make them leave. You learn to read the room quickly and adjust yourself accordingly. You become agreeable and accommodating and easy to be around. And over time, this ability gets reinforced. People appreciate you, they trust you, they rely on you. You become the one who just gets it. But what often goes unseen is the quiet cost of that role. Because when your value becomes tied to how well you meet others' expectations, your sense of self starts to blur. You begin to lose track of your own preferences and your own limits and your own voice. Not because they're gone, but because they've become consistently deprioritized. This is where perfectionism often weaves itself in. As I shared on last week's episode, perfectionism isn't just about high standards, it's about control. It's the belief, though often unconscious, that if you can just get everything right, you can avoid criticism and rejection and the feeling of not being enough. So you refine, you over-prepare, you edit yourself mid-sentence. You strive to present the most polished, acceptable version of yourself at all times. Not because you love excellence, but because you fear what might happen without it. And when perfectionism and people-pleasing intersect, something powerful happens. You stop asking yourself, what do I want? And start asking instead, what will keep me accepted? It's subtle, but it changes everything. You might notice it in the way you hesitate before expressing a strong opinion, or how you default to what's easiest for everyone else when making decisions, or how difficult it feels to set a boundary without over-explaining it. You might notice it in your work. You spend hours refining something that was already more than enough. Or in your relationships. You feel responsible for the emotional atmosphere, even when it isn't yours to carry. And at a certain point, it becomes less about pleasing others and more about protecting yourself from the discomfort of being fully seen. Because being fully seen means risking disapproval. And if somewhere along the way you learn that disapproval threatens your belonging, that risk can feel too high. So you adapt, you shape-shift, you become who you need to be in order to maintain connection. And again, this isn't a flaw, it's a form of intelligence. It's what helped you navigate environments where being agreeable or attuned or easy created safety. But what once protected you can eventually begin to limit you. Because relationships built on a curated version of you can only ever meet that version, not the real one. And that creates a quiet kind of loneliness, even when you're surrounded by people. The kind that comes from being known for how well you show up, but not truly known at all. This is often the moment when people begin to sense something deeper. Not dramatically, just a subtle awareness such as, I don't feel like myself. Or perhaps more accurately, I'm not sure I've ever fully been myself. This is where the work shifts. Not toward becoming someone new, but toward gently uncovering who you already are beneath the patterns. And that begins a different question. Not how do I stop people pleasing, but what am I afraid would happen if I didn't? Because underneath every pattern is a belief. And underneath many forms of people pleasing is the belief that you are only worthy if you are liked or needed or approved of. When that belief is operating quietly in the background, it makes perfect sense why saying no feels so uncomfortable, while disappointing someone feels almost unbearable, while being misunderstood feels so personal. It's not just about the moment. It's about what that moment represents, a perceived threat to your worth. So the shift isn't about forcing yourself to be more assertive or suddenly setting rigid boundaries. It's about slowly building the internal safety to believe that your worth is not up for negotiation in this moment or any other moment. That kind of shift doesn't happen overnight. It happens in small, almost unremarkable moments. The moment you pause before automatically saying yes and check in with yourself first. The moment you allow someone to feel disappointed without rushing to fix it. The moment you express a preference, even if it feels unfamiliar. The moment you choose honesty over harmony. Each of these moments may feel insignificant on their own, but together they begin to rewire something much deeper. They begin to teach your nervous system that connection doesn't have to be earned through self-abandonment, that you can be both real and accepted, that you can take up space without overcompensating for it, and perhaps most importantly, that your needs and your voice and your presence are inherently valid without being optimized for someone else's comfort. There's a quiet confidence that emerges from this place, not the kind that announces itself loudly, but the kind that no longer needs constant reassurance. It shows up as clarity, as steadiness, as the ability to move through relationships without overanalyzing every interaction. And interestingly, it often changes the quality of your connections. Because when you stop overextending, you begin to see who is able to meet you where you are and who was only relating to the version of you that overgave. That clarity can feel confronting at first, but it is also freeing because it creates space for the relationships that don't require you to edit yourself in order to belong. The relationships where your presence is enough, not because you've perfected it, but because it's real. If you recognize yourself in any of this, there's nothing wrong with you. There's simply a pattern that made sense at one point in your life that may no longer serve you in the same way now. And patterns can shift, not through force, but through awareness. Not through criticism, but through compassion. You don't have to dismantle it all at once. You don't have to become someone completely different. You only have to begin noticing where you overriding yourself. Where are you seeking approval instead of expressing truth? Where are you equating being liked with being safe? These questions aren't meant to judge your behavior. They're meant to bring it into the light. Because once you see the pattern, you're no longer unconsciously inside of it. And from that place, even the smallest choice, one honest response or one clear boundary or one moment of self-trust becomes meaningful. And over time, those moments accumulate. And what replaces people-pleasing isn't cold attachment or rigid independence. It's something far more grounded. It's self-respect. The kind that allows you to care deeply about others without abandoning yourself in the process. The kind that makes your kindness feel clean rather than obligatory. The kind that reminds you quietly and consistently that you were never meant to earn your worth through performance, only to remember it. And with that, allow me to say this. May you remember that your worth was never meant to be earned through effort. May each small act of self-respect soften the old pull to overgive. And may your life gently rearrange itself around the truth that you were enough all along. Wishing you peace and plenty of all good things. Until next time, this is Amy, your gray girlfriend. Hey, it's Amy. Did you know that what we tell ourselves about ourselves impacts every decision we make? Every decision. So if you're feeling stuck in any aspect of your life, RTT can help. Want to know more? Go to amyblairlawson.com or click on the calendar link in the show notes to schedule your complimentary 30-minute consultation. Oh, one last thing. I can't forget the legal stuff. You know what I'm talking about. The language a lawyers write that I have to read to you. Well, here it goes. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. While I am a rapid transformational therapy practitioner, a certified divorce financial analyst, and a licensed investment advisor, this podcast is not intended as a substitute for a private session or a consultation. Got it? All right. Until next time, wishing you peace and plenty of all good things.